Okay, let's go. I'm going to pin my video. That should be fine. Okay. With the feet parallel, we'll bend the knees and fold the hips. This takes us down with the back straight but leaning forwards. Use the legs to scoop the fingers. As we come up, it's not just reaching up, it's putting the whole body into an upright position. So lift the chest, drop the chin, and feel the crown of the head being pushed up by the feet. You reach the top of that stretch the same time as the in-breath and the same time as the fingers reach the top, release. Straight down. Softening throughout the whole body, the whole time, until thumbs touch, fold. The legs push up the whole time. Lift the chest, lift the crown of the head. Keep pushing up and release. Keep sinking, keep scanning through the body. Anything you can feel you can release and let go of. Do so until you feel really comfortable and settled. Turn to the side by folding the hip joint, staying upright, keeping the hips level. Fold the knee, fold the hip joint to take you down lower. Turn back to the front, use the legs, breathe in. Upright, release. Everything finishes, fold. Find the top aligned, stretched. In-breath, release. Straight down. Almost let gravity drop you downwards. Try not to do it from as if you're getting to a low position. Try to do it more like the weight of your body is pressing you into yourself. It's more like a ball that's being squashed, the whole body like a ball that's being squashed into itself, into alignment, than it is like you're just lowering that ball. You see the difference? It's got a different feel as well, and it's the feeling of it, of letting go, that allows the movement. Turn, fold. We'll do a smaller circle, which is exactly the same movement in the legs, but the hands just come up to the height of the throat or shoulders, and the same movement in the trunk, the body and the shoulders, and the hands drop. Lifting the whole time, pushing with the legs, lifting up. One fist apart, hands are one fist apart at the height of the throat. Sinking, thumbs on the side of the trouser seam. This is exactly the same move as the beginning of the form, but now in an exercise, so we can keep repeating it and noticing when we get to this sunk position, if there's any tension anywhere, if there's any holding in the legs, if there's any holding in the abdomen, holding in the lower back, if the arms are still held up, it gives us a chance to keep repeating it and keep noticing what we do with our bodies, how we can find a different way of excuse me, finding a different way of allowing ourselves to settle. what we do in this exercise is exactly the same as what we do in the loosening exercise number 1, except here my movement is different. The movement is turning to the side. So I'm moving onto my left leg, turning to 1/2, but I'm sinking down the whole time. And then when I get to the point where the arms are at their lowest, I just let the arms swing up. I keep the elbow low, I just let the forearms swing up. And the back hand just swings to the tail, where the tail would be. Back hand just swings to that. And then I drop the arms and open up to the other side. Turn now on my right leg, turn to 11 o'clock. You have to be really careful that your knee doesn't move inwards. I keep repeating this because I'm going to have a look at what you're doing, because it's really fundamental. And one of the reasons we keep repeating the exercises is so we get really, really clear at dropping our weight and keeping a very good structure. Okay, so if you have a look at me, I'll come a little bit closer. You can see my shoulders. When I drop my arms here, I don't want to collapse. Okay, this, if I do it from the side, when I drop my arms, I don't want my upper body that's upright to go into this position. I want to drop my arms straight down and stay upright, because the dropping of the shoulders shouldn't affect the spine. If you bring the head forwards, the weight of the head will have the effect of doing that. We want to try and drop straight down. So the exercise is to stay in that upright posture, as if I'm just dropping the arms straight down here. But with the turning, I'm doing exactly the same. I'm not collapsing here. I'm not softening so much that I lose my structure. I keep my structure and I soften around the structure. So there's still pressure within the body. There's still forces and pressure within the body, but I'm softening around that pressure. I don't collapse in such a way that I go limp. Okay, and that's really important. Not to, in Tai Chi, they say there's no excessiveness or insufficiency. That's the translation of the Chinese. What that really means is there are no places where we're holding on forcefully, and there's no places where we're collapsed or limp. And this exercise shows us how we can change in movement, but yet keep our structure really clear. And with it, the letting go calms the nervous system, get to a place where we're really, really listening to ourselves. Listening to the sensations. Number 2, starts with the same feet position, starts with the same hand position. Again, as I'm sinking over 4 swings of the arms, I'm not collapsing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now coming up, pushing with the legs, 1, 2 swings of the arms, pushing with the legs, 3, and pushing the head top up. And now sinking, a smooth, steady sinking over 1 swing, 2 swings, 3 swings, and 4 swings back to the starting point. Pushing up, smooth and steady, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Releasing, soften the legs, soften the abdomen, soften the chest, soften the shoulders and the back of the neck. Coming up, push with the legs, slowly and smoothly. Feel the chest lifting. Feel the crown of the head lifting. As much as possible, we want the going down, because it's like a big beach ball or a big car tire, and you're taking some of the air out. Okay, so when you take a little bit of air out, the tire still supports the car. It doesn't just go limp and the car falls. As you take the air out, the car is still supported. It's just that it drops in a way that we're trying to do ourselves. So as I sink, it's softening the muscles to allow the weight of the body to press me into a more compressed position. Over 4 swings of the arms. Slow, steady release of the muscles throughout the whole body. And I build myself back up and work with gravity again on the sinking. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the end of 4, I should scan through the whole torso and notice where I can release. Just shake out. Exercise number 3 starts with the feet in the same shoulder width stance. This time I keep my center line right in the middle, and I don't move the center line from side to side. I keep the head to the front, and I turn the hips around that center line. And an indication, if you look, if I overturn, I get these marks in my t-shirt that way. And if I overturn my shoulders, you'll start to see marks on your clothes. But if your hips and your shoulders move together, you won't see any movement coming into your shirt. If your hips and your shoulders move together, you won't see any of those twists. And that's an indication that you've moved your shoulders further than your hips. And in Tai Chi, we want the hips to lead and the shoulders to follow, not the shoulders to do too much. So when you do this move, the first principle is to find your center line, turn from the hips, and let the upper body and shoulders follow whatever the hips are doing. Not too much. The temptation is when we put the hand out to overreach and over twist, because we move the arm without it listening to the hips. But the hips want to guide the movement and the arm follows it. There will be a very small amount of twist in the body, just because there's a slight lag in the shoulders following the hips, but it's not a great big twist. So as I'm sinking onto my right foot, the right hip's coming forward and the right arm swinging out. That movement is exactly the same as the movement we did in the previous exercise. The arm lifts and the arm drops. Here, the arm lifts and the arm drops. Same movement in the arm. The arm lifts. Now I'm on my left leg. The left hip goes forward, the left shoulder goes forward, the left arm goes out. I turn back and the arm starts to drop immediately and I sink onto the right leg. I'm just going to have a look at you doing that exercise. Okay, so a correction here can be the head always looks straight ahead. When you do this, the head always looks straight ahead. So you can see I'm looking at the camera, and when my hand comes up, it's right onto the center line. The wrist is right on my center line. Look to the front and the wrist is right on the center line. And the way the hand comes up, it's like you're bowling. Long in the arm until it reaches here, and then relax the shoulder and let the arms sink back down. But don't try and paddle the arms or swim with the arms, just let them follow the movement of the shoulder out. And as the shoulder turns back, start relaxing the arm down. So when the arm is out, all the joints are open. It's not to here. You're out as far as you can reach in a way that isn't tight. As far as your arm can reach, but in a way that isn't tight. It's like the throwing out of the arm, stretch, because the arm's soft, opens out all the joints, and it's onto the center line. So wherever that center line is that you start, that's where you put the wrist. That's your center line, then as you turn, your hand goes to the center line and back. David, when the hand goes out here, when the hand is here, the next movement is the hips turning back. And the hips turning backwards pulls the shoulder, which pulls on the arm. So you get the movement of the hand coming backwards isn't just the hand dropping, but it comes back because the hips are turning. So there's a movement forwards, which throws the arm out. And there's a movement back that throws the arm back. And if you've ever played that game of, it's like where you've got a table tennis bat with a ball on a piece of elastic, and you hit the ball goes out and it swings back on the elastic. The arm has a kind of a stretched feel at the top before it comes back. So you want the arm, when the arm goes out, you want it to be soft. And you want it to be drawn back by the movement of the shoulder rather than pulled in by the muscles in the arm. That's a lot to work with, but I'm giving you kind of like, while we're talking about what the arms do, it's good to know what to try and aim for. And then slowly over time, it kind of gets clearer and clearer. You put all the jigsaw puzzles bits together. Yeah, good, looking better. If you've got any questions, you can ask as we're doing that. Great. Let's have a little shake out. Does that make sense, what we were doing? Give me a thumbs up if it makes sense. Yeah, that's great. Okay, good. That movement of those three loosening exercises all throughout the form. For example, when we turn to hold the ball here, right at the beginning of the form, that movement here is just like a first loosening exercise here, turning and opening. I've got to make sure my knee doesn't collapse. I've got to make sure I'm sinking. So when I drop the arms here at the beginning of the form, when I move on to my left foot, when I turn, this is the same movement. I'm not doing it because of the arm movement. I'm waiting for the hips to turn, to draw the shoulder, to pull on the arm into position. You can see how the whole body then gets connected. Yeah. So if we do that move together, from if we go from the beginning of the form, nice upright posture, then release. And wait and settle. Sink to both feet. Pass the connection to the right, so you can lift the left heel, pivot on the ball of the left, push the left foot parallel to the front, 1 foot across. So the foot now is facing, you've opened it up and it's facing 12 o'clock. Move on to the left foot. This is an exercise number 1. The spine is fully over the left foot. Turn the hips back, turning the foot in, and bringing the hands around all together. So that again, you've got that coordination of the hips leading the movement, the foot following the hips, and the hands following, the shoulders following, and the hands following. Everything happens and finishes together. Breathe in, lift. The hands come up to the height of the throat. Sinking. Everything finishing together. Turn the left toes in. Pass the weight to the left foot, sitting away from the right wrist. So there's a gap here between the wrist stays where it was and you move away from it. Now my alignment is over the left foot. When I turn around that alignment, the hips turn, which turns the right shoulder, which draws the right arm upwards and into the right position. And what you want to try and do is as little movement as you can with the arm, just enough so it follows, as if it's running along something and follows the movement of the shoulder. When the hips stop turning, the shoulder stops turning, the hand is in position, facing 3 o'clock on your center line. If you have a look at me do the move, I'll do it facing you. And move my body across, away from the right hand. A gap opens up. The right hand is exactly where it was. It hasn't moved, but I've moved across. All the slack is taken out of the arm here. So as soon as the shoulder moves, the hand's going to follow. And the shoulder moves because the hips turn. Shoulder turns, the hips turn, the shoulder turns, the hand moves. At the same time, the left hip starts turning, the left shoulder starts turning, and the left hand comes round. Everything finishes together. One. I'm in position. When I stop turning, I'm facing 3 o'clock. When I stop turning, my shoulders are facing 3 o'clock. When I stop turning, my hands are on the center line holding the ball. All that is coordinated like the hands of a clock. It all comes together. All those little cogs inside a clock come together and the hands finish at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. I'm facing 3 o'clock, but it's like the hands on the clock is at 12 o'clock. Turn, face 3 o'clock, move into the center, sinking. Have a go with that a few times. Repeat it 3 or 4, 5, 6 times. I just want to have a look at you do that one move. So you can do it, the hands lift, the hands sink, turn in the left foot, and then move on to the left. Just do it a few times so I can see how you're doing that. David, when you move here, okay, when you're here, I'll just move back so you can see my feet. In this position here, your hands lift, your hands sink. The first thing is to turn the left foot in, sit away from the hand here. Move your center line fully over the left foot, then turn all as one. Move in. So, what can I use? I've got something here I can use. Okay, have a look. I've got a ball of string here, okay? The fingers are like the tip of the string. If I draw the string over my arm, that's the same sort of feeling you want the tip of the hand to have. So the arm is like a piece of string. When the shoulder moves, it's hanging low. If I put a resistance at my elbow and I turn my shoulder, it draws the hand up into position. You don't have to lift the arm into position. You don't have to use the muscles inside the arm. So when I just get into position so you can see my feet, when I lift the arms here, when I sink, turn the left toes in, move away from the right hand. When I turn, it's as if this arm is drawn into the right position. I don't feel like I'm lifting the arm up. It feels like it's being pulled into the right place. And this one too here swings round and comes underneath. The hand turns over, but it just swings with my body turning. Okay. And these are the subtle things, these are the refinements that kind of start to coordinate the whole body. And normally I'd sort of bring these refinements into kind of year 2 for learning Tai Chi. Yeah, much better, much, much better. Okay, do it 3 or 4 times, let's have a look. And feel free to ask any questions, because there's only a couple of us in the class. It's easy, you know, there's plenty of time to ask questions. Sinking to turn, yeah, great, that's good, that's good, that's good. Yes. Yeah, so that part, because of your camera angle, Norman, like it's hard for me to see. That hand should be at the same height as the sternum. About 1 span from the sternum to the thumb knuckle. That's the position, that nice round posture. So it's if you turn side, it's away from the body, it's not in here. You can see this is limp again. It wants to be nice and round and full, with the opposite hand underneath the belly, the dantian, underneath that hand, holding the ball. That's your posture. Both hands on the center line. Then when you come forwards, you're sinking and you're ending up in the 50-50 position, and your weight distribution is 55 in the back leg and 45 in the front leg. So you've got slightly more weight in your back leg, and you're going to transfer that to the front leg and relax the shoulders and let the hands go out in a small wave. So have a look at me do that move. I'll do it facing this way so you can see it more clearly. I lift the hands. I sink. With the sinking of the body comes the relaxing of the chest and the dropping of the shoulders. And that process continues all the way until the hands reach this position. Then I'm turning, turn the hips and bring the left foot in. This is coordinated. So it's not just turn the left foot in, it's not just turn the hips and leave the left foot there. It's as you turn the hips, the left toes come in, pivoting on the heel. Then I move back over the left foot, creating this space here, about a span between the wrist and the body. Move away from the right hand. Now I'm ready to do my turning around this axis. Hips turn, shoulders turn, right hand draws up, left hand comes underneath. There's no weight in the right foot, just the heel. The right toes turn, just the heel of the right foot is on the ground. I'm facing 3 o'clock. As I move into the middle, so the ball of the right foot touches, and I'm 55 in the back, 45 in the front, and I'm sinking. As I go in, I'm sinking. In this position, I feel very stable, upright, relaxed and pressed onto the ground. And as I transfer a bit of weight to the front foot, I relax the shoulders. Small wave comes into the hands, small movement forward in the hands. Then I'm ready to turn to the corner, to take a step, to move in, to turn my waist and sink into the next posture. Ward off left. Okay, have a go just moving into ward off right, sinking into the center and through onto the right foot. Sinking into the center, through onto the front foot, a small wave into the hands. You can turn to the corner, take a step. As you turn, the left hand comes up, pulled by the left shoulder, take a step, move in, sink into the posture. Good. So David, that left hand is again sternum height, a little bit lower. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, great, good. Have a go a couple of times doing that one, and then we'll move on. We'll go through the whole of the form to where we know. Yeah. Okay. Anything you're unclear of or anything you'd like to see again?
Can you do it from the beginning, facing the red curtains, so that I can get a
Sure.
a sense?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Let's do it together. Take your time to settle down. You're going to find that place where you feel calm, where the body feels melting and the mind, the brow softens, the jaw softens. You just feel that place where you feel steady, sinking. All the weight comes to the right foot, pivot the left, pass it across. Left foot faces 12 o'clock. Move across onto the left, turning the whole time until you're fully over the left foot, and then turn back. Right toes come in, hands turn over. Now the palms are facing backwards. Breathe in, lift. Height of the throat, one fist apart at the height of the throat. Sink the whole body, sink the chest, sink the shoulders, drop the hands. Settle. Turn the hips towards 1 o'clock, bringing in the left toes. Pass the alignment across to the left foot until you're fully over the left foot, opening up this distance between the hips and the hand. Turn the hips fully over the left foot, drawing up the right hand. The left hand comes underneath, no weight in the right foot, just the heel on the ground. You're pivoting on the heel of the ground. Now I'm facing 3 o'clock. Hands on the center line, top hand, the right hand at the height of the sternum, left hand underneath the abdomen, holding a nice round ball. Sink as you move forwards, sinking. Into the center. Move onto the front foot and a small wave comes to the hands. Turn to the corner, the left hand lifts, so the right fingers are looking into the left hand. Now I'm facing the corner. The fingertips are on the center line facing the corner. Take a step with the left foot because I'm 100% in the right. Glide in. As I reach the 50-50 point, the left toes, the left ball of the foot touches. I'm still facing the corner. Now I turn the hips and bring the back foot in. Bow stance, I'm facing 12 o'clock. I sink and drop the right hand, ward off left. Let's carry on with the form. Move on to the right foot, turning slightly anti-clockwise. Turn back clockwise, lifting up the right hand. Take a step with the heel. As you move in and the ball touches, the right ball touches, that's when you reach the 50-50. I'm still facing the corner. Turn the hips, facing 3 o'clock, ward off right. The right hand at the height of the throat, nice big round circle. Left fingers straight, pointing straight into the hand. Turn to the corner. Turn back, facing 3 o'clock, sit right back. Turn open. Turn back and fold the left arm. Fingertips of the left come in, one fist from the ear, looking into the right hand. Drop the hands. Press. Sit all the way back to the left foot, long in the arms. Sink into the center. Onto the front foot. Small wave comes to the fingertips, push. Leave the fingertips behind, sit back, all the alignment and weight over the left foot. Turn. As I turn, look at my right toes, they're coming in. Pass the weight back to the right foot. Drop the left hand underneath. This time turn clockwise as far as you can. Now turn with the weight over the right foot, now turn anti-clockwise. Pivot on the ball of the left, draw the left foot in, take a step with the left, and move into single whip. We'll go over that posture in a minute. Move forward onto the left foot. When we do lift hands, we're going to face 12 o'clock. We have to make sure the left knee doesn't collapse. Why we did it to the corner here, 10:30, is because it's much easier that the knee doesn't collapse for beginners. Whereas it's a big movement, you have to really open the hips and get all your weight fully on the left foot to be able to face 12 o'clock. Drop the hands, turn open. Shoulder strokes the same to 10:30. Move on to the right foot, turning to the front. White crane spreads wings, facing 9 o'clock. Hips and shoulders, head 9 o'clock. Turn and chop. Turn open. Hands parallel to the corner behind you. Turn back and fold at the elbow. Take a step with the left. Heel. Glide in as you reach the center. The left foot touches on. Square the hips and sink. Brush left knee twister. Drop onto the left foot. Lift the hands. All the weight now on the right foot. Sinking. Play guitar. Turn the hips. Shoulders and hands follow. Turn the hips back. The shoulders and hands follow the movement. Step. Glide into the center. Sink and settle. Move on to the front foot. Wave to the hands. Sit back. Turn open to 8 o'clock. Move on to the left foot. Lift. Place the right, walk onto it. Keep turning as you sink onto the right foot. I'm just adjusting my posture. Step left. Move into the 50-50 position. Turn the hips. Sink into the center. As you release and sink onto the front foot, you punch. Turn to 8 o'clock. Sit back, release the fist. Move into push. Sit back, all the weight on the right foot, 100%. Turn the waist. Toes follow, right hand follows. Sit back to the left foot, the hands open out. Dropping. No weight in the right foot, bring the right foot in. Hands cross, hands turn over. fall down the outside of the ball, turn open the left foot, walk onto it, turn back and bring in the right heel and left. So I deliberately talked through a lot of the detail on the form. I'm not going to go over that now, but I'll send you the recording. And if you want to go over the form a few times with the recording, it'll be much more beneficial to do that than for me to not waste time, but for us to go over it again and again. We've only got about 10 or so minutes left of the class, and I wanted to go over that single whip question that you asked. Okay. Have a look at single whip. I'll do it. I'll do it facing a different way so you can see it more clearly. If I do it facing this way, just to watch first of all. The hands up at 45 degrees, like a letter A, they're slightly pointing inwards, one fist apart with the fingers at the height of the throat. That's the push. So that's the position they start at. I leave the fingertips exactly where they were, and I sit my center towards the back foot, away from them. And as I do, my shoulders move with my hips and my hands elongate. Be careful you don't push your hands out to make them longer. So my hands start in this position. If you look there on the wall, when I sit back, they're still on the wall, they're still on the wall. I sit back until they're straight. My head top is over my foot. I have the axis now to turn around. When I turn, I bring my right, but there's no weight in the right foot because all my weight is over the left. I turn, my hips turn, my toes turn, my shoulders turn, and my hands turn all together. So you can see my foot, my waist, my shoulders, and my hands all stay in the same arrangement. And I turn my foot as far as I can turn, because that's going to make the next step a lot easier. So you can almost bring your right toes in a little bit further than you think you should. Then sit the weight back into the right foot. Turn, and this time drop, make the hook with the right hand and drop the left hand underneath. They're still on my center line. Hands are still on the center line. As I turn now, my shoulder turns with the hips and my left hand is drawn up. Do accurately, it's drawn up here. I take a step, draw the toes in, take a step out, leave the hook behind, move away from the hook into the 50-50 position. Fingers still on the center line. Turn, fingers still on the center line. Sink, hand turns over, fingers still on the center line. I'll do it again. Push. Sit back. Turn, hands on the center line. Turn back. Hands still on the center line. Left hand on the center line, right hand on the center line. When I step and move in, that's when I leave the hook behind, but my left hand is still on the center line. I turn, my left hand stays on the center line, and I finally sink. As I move on to the front foot, there's a small wave into both hands. Something new. Okay, let's have a go together. Just going to see what time it is. We started a little bit late because of the disconnect, but we'll go over 5 minutes. Let's do it the same way we do it in the form. Yeah, let's do it the same way we do it in the form. So facing, we start single whip from the push. which is facing 3 o'clock. With the right foot forwards, push position. We're going to move all our weight to the left foot, sitting away from the fingertips. We're going to wait until there's no weight at all in the right foot, and I've got my spine fully over the left foot. You should be able to pick up the right foot. That's when I turn my waist, and the right toes and the hands all move together. Turn the toes as far as you can. Pass the weight back to the right foot, dropping the left hand underneath and forming a hook. The hands are still on the center line of the body. My body's now facing 1 o'clock. I start to turn my body. Now it's facing 12 o'clock. The left fingers lift. Now it's facing 11 o'clock. And I draw my toes at the left in, all my weight's in the right. I reach out and step with the heel, no weight in the heel. Then I move into the center, away from the hook. I'm still facing 10:30, 11 o'clock. Now I turn to 9 o'clock, sink into the center and move on to the front foot. Let's do it one more time together, then I'll have a look at you. You do it. Push, facing 3 o'clock. Hands in a straight line. One fist apart at the height of the throat, sit back. Long in the arms, turn. Pass the weight to the right foot, turning clockwise to face 1 o'clock. Form a hook. Turn the body to 12 o'clock, all the weight in the right. Lift the left hand. Draw in the left toes. Step out with the left foot. Heel. Move into the 50-50 position away from the hook. The hook is facing 12 o'clock. Turn the waist to 9 o'clock. Bring the right toes in as well. Sink into the position of single whip. Onto the front foot, small wave to both arms. Let's have a little look at you do that. Push position, facing 3 o'clock, as if the arms are just resting on something. Good. Sit away from the fingertips, find the alignment over your back foot. Arms nice and straight, Norman, when you sit back, yep, and then turn the waist. Bring the toes and the hands all together with it as a unit. Great. Turn back and pass the weight into the back foot, dropping the left hand underneath, forming a hook with the right hand. Good. Turn back the opposite way, lifting the bottom hand up. Bringing the toes in to your other foot, taking a step with the heel towards 9 o'clock, moving into the 50-50 posture, turning in to face 9 o'clock. David, your hook's dropped a little bit. Try and keep it out nice and straight towards the shoulder. Yeah. And then finally, the hand turns over into the push position at the end as the body sinks. As you move on to the front foot, there's a small wave into both hands. Good. Good. Any questions with that? Been quite technical tonight. But I think that's good because I can see what you're doing and I can kind of like guide you with that. Yeah.
Oh, that's really useful the way you talked it through, particularly for me. I don't want to be slowing David up at all, but it's really, and to be able then to go back with your commentary, it means I can then hold the position without looking at the screen because
yeah, great
commentary. So that's really helpful. That's really good.
Okay, excellent, great. Have a look at it, David. I'll send you the I'll just the dog's wanting to say something. Have a look at the video tomorrow when I send it, and if there is anything you don't get or anything you want to know, just drop me an email or something.
Just one quickie. You said on some of the moves, you said we just finish off with a little movement of the hands, a little wave of the hands. And I wasn't
That's new.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what you meant by that.
Okay. It's quite a big subject.
Okay.
Right. Like what you want to try and at the end of the push, the hand moves just forward, just the length of the first knuckles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the back leg, when you move into the center, you're sinking. And the body, like the body compresses. As you move onto the front leg, that compression comes out of the body and the hands go out in a small wave.
Okay.
Go out. How you go? I'll just get rid of my dog a sec. Go on.
I hope his dog can't do Tai Chi.
I learn all my Tai Chi from him, really. Not the accuracy, but the principles, you know. But when we come to do push hands,
yeah,
and we get the throwing where you throw a partner, that all comes from the compression of the body and the release of the compression. Right. It's not necessary that it's there in the form, but traditional Tai Chi, the forces in the body, those are the things that happen when you do it. So what we're looking for, that release downwards, that compression we get in the body then has to go somewhere.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you don't want to store all that kind of like when you drop the body, gravity is going to press you into yourself. When you move forward, it gets a chance then to come back out again.
Right.
That's a kind of like 20-second simple explanation. But to practice it, there's a fifth loosening exercise. We've only done 3. There's a fifth one, which kind of starts to kind of get into all that territory. And it's more kind of year 3 stuff.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, park it a little bit. And in the meantime, just let the hands come out a little bit until it starts to be a genuine wave.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And if you carry on doing Tai Chi over time, all those sorts of things start to kind of get part of the syllabus, and we start to work with them much more. But there are complex things which we try and kind of like try and make it more simple. And not because you haven't got the capacity to do it or feel it or know what to do, and to stop getting confused by it, we just make it a little bit more simple. And if you look at stuff like it's interesting when Cheng Man-ching, who's like the grandfather of our style, when he went to New York to teach in 1965, he was teaching a bunch of stoned out hippies. And he couldn't teach them what he wanted to teach them because they're all half out their brains most of the time. So he simplified it all and made it much, much more relaxing. And the martial side of it, kind of he couldn't teach because they didn't practice and blah, 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 blah. Yet when he taught in Malaysia, which was much more culturally used to training and to the martial arts, he taught something completely different. Which was much more, the training was much harder. I don't mean difficult, I mean full on, because culturally they were used to doing 2 or 3 hours training a day, and that's what they saw going on all around them. Whereas in New York in the 60s, people are this thing that's got a bit of a foreign flavor, you know. Let's get into that with our Afghan coats on. And it was kind of like, it was a new, exotic thing to do for a lot of people in the 60s.
Is that the slob? Was that like the slob form that I remember from 25 years ago?
Yeah. When Norman used to work with me, my teacher Richard, we used to do something called the slob form, which these days I wouldn't go near, because it's great for getting calm and it's great for letting it all be sloshy. But actually, we want to work with the yin and the yang of it, the softness, but also the structure. And the slob form doesn't teach you anything about the structure. So I've kind of parked that way of working for a long, long time. But the idea of it is nice, the slob form. If you anyway.
I'm not going to return to that, no.
Oh, good. I think we're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave it there. I'll send you the recording as soon as I can. Sorry
Great.
about the internet connections early on, and have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, thanks very much.
See you,
Bye for
David.
now.
Yes. Bye
Cheers,
now.
guys.
Bye.